Hello, everyone. This is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer. I've got kind of a funky background going today, so we'll work with it. It's great to have you back, and it has been quite the experience over the last couple days. I apologize for missing our last live Q&A that happened last Wednesday. I was away, and I actually had taken my son Connor and my wife, and we'd gone to the temple for our church in Cardston, Alberta. My son is getting ready to leave for Chile, which is happening probably in, I think, about a week. We haven't got the travel plans yet, but we're really excited for him to have that experience to head down south, way south, down to South America to spend the next just about 2 years just giving service to the people living in Chile and learning how to speak Spanish. So I think many of you probably already are aware that I had an opportunity myself as a young man to serve in Portugal and learn to speak Portuguese. And that has pretty much shaped everything that I'm doing right now, even the fact that I'm an immigration lawyer. So there you have it. All right. So we have a special guest joining us today, and I'll bring her on in just a little bit. I love to bring people in that can share their success stories, because the reality is there is so much negativity that's out there, and there is a lot of reason to be negative. But the reality is there is also good things that are happening. And I love to share the things that are, that are really, really positive. All right. So what we're going to do here, we'll welcome a few people in, and I am going to, let's see here. I'm just going to see if I can make a little change here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to just give me a second, guys. I'm going to experiment with something, see if I can get this so I don't. Oh, dang it. Oh, I lost the audio. I was talking and talking. This is hilarious. This is awesome. The guest who's waiting patiently here is probably wondering what the heck is going on here. When I changed my screen, yes, I lost my audio. So you guys probably were very good lip readers as I was going through there. All of the shout outs that I gave. And yeah, thanks to to those who were posting their comments. Oh my goodness, some days are just amazing. I'll let you guys in on one other thing. So I'm a little off because of an application that was just returned to one of the clients that we did a review for. And I am so angry with immigration right now. And it doesn't matter who you are. The reality is this was in the context of a spousal sponsorship. And we filed and we did a review like we do for all of our clients. And we always include a modified use of representative form that says, please note, we are not being hired as representatives. The person is carrying on themselves, but because by law, we have to disclose that the actual, the representation we were paid to review the file before it went out, we modify the use of representative just for their information only. Well, they decided that they were going to return the whole application, which was submitted in July. So then the client has lost all this time. So now I am going to war for them because, wow, this is, and I know you guys have experienced it. If you have, put in the comments below all of the horrible things that have happened to you. But we'll talk about those after, because right now what I want to do is I want to bring on our guest. So without further ado, how are you, Simone?
Hey Mark, I'm good.
Excellent. So this is a good story, you guys. This is a happy one, and there's so much to complain about, Simone. And so it
For
is
sure.
so nice to have individuals like yourself come and join us to share your story. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and kind of what's happened to you.
Okay. Hi everyone. I am from Nassau, Bahamas. I moved to Canada in August 2014 for university. Graduated in 2018 and then worked for a few years and applied through the TR to PR pathway. I applied with my common law partner, who was at a whirlwind of his own in terms of applications and refusals. So trust me, we know the stress and we know the process. But we just got our ECOPR yesterday on my birthday. So it was the best birthday gift ever. But the road getting there was rocky, filled with anxiety. So I definitely sympathize and understand with everyone that's waiting to hear back. It's definitely a long process, but I just say be patient.
Okay. Well, I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that probably have questions for you already about kind of your process. So let's share a
Yeah.
little bit with them. So
Yeah.
this crazy news happens that the government is opening up this TR to PR pathway program, and that
Yep.
there will be 40,000 international students and 30,000 essential workers that are non-healthcare and 20,000 that are essential healthcare. So which program did you fit into? Was it international grad?
International grads. Yes.
Okay. And when did you get that application submitted?
Within the first hour. So I
Within the
submitted
first.
at 12:55
Okay. All
and
right.
still had to wait 6 months. So yeah.
Okay, so you still waited 6 months. It was
Yeah.
submitted within the first hour. Okay, now how did you and I connect? So, because you weren't official client, like you never hired me
No,
to formally
no,
represent you, but how did
no.
you connect with what I was doing?
So initially, my boyfriend and I met with a local lawyer here in Nova Scotia, just talking about our process and how we can go about applying for PR process. And the next morning, she sends me an email and says, "Hey, there's an article you should check out. It's about TR to PR." So then I went to YouTube and I started researching and I came across your channel. And I don't know, something just clicked immediately. I'm like, this guy is the real deal. He knows what he's talking about. So then I went on, I looked at the course and I'm like, can I do this myself? I really don't know the process. I don't want to get denied. This is a lot of money to invest in applying. And then if a denial happens, that's money lost. So I slept on it. And literally in a dream, I dreamt of you. And I'm like, Mark, please help. No, I'm not even joking. I literally in a dream, I'm like, Mark, please help me. I don't know what to do. And I woke up, kid you not, I went in the living room the next morning, took out my credit card, paid for the course, and here I am.
that is that is the first time I've heard that. That is that is
True story.
unbelievable.
That is how much I was thinking about it because it was such a ordeal for us. So my partner, I'll give you a little bit on him.
Hmm.
He applied for a post grad work permit, just like myself. He graduated from a university here, but because he took two courses 1 year instead of three, they denied his post grad work permit because he was no longer a full time. He was technically part time student. So he then applied for an open work permit, which has nothing to do with schooling, but
Yep.
they denied his open work permit for the exact same reason.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So then he applied for a visitor's visa. They denied that because it was in the middle of COVID. but he was stuck here with no flights going back home. So thankfully this TR to PR process came about, but we were at a dead end, and you were literally our saving grace.
Wow. That is a
Yeah.
crazy story. You know, I think most people know that the do-it-yourself kind of courses that I do and the master class associated with them is something that I really, really enjoy doing. And as a former teacher, it gives you an opportunity to use that, that Bachelor of Education, as well as my law degree, as well as the experience I had working on the border. But very rarely do I really get to know what's happening in people's lives. And with the TR to PR pathway, there were probably 350 people that were going through it all at the same time. And it was such a whirlwind, and there were so many things happening that, the moment I heard anything about any news or updates, and, I don't talk a lot
Yep.
about this, but the reality is I was as close to the process as literally anyone could be. And both with the officers who started the program, and there was so little information out there. And you
Mhm.
said you were able to get it done in 1 hour. We know that the
Yeah.
guide was only released the day before. So what
Yeah.
did the course do for you to help you actually get it submitted within
The
within an
course.
hour?
Well, the course basically gave me everything that I needed, and I'm not just saying that, also not being paid, because I know there are people in
Jeez,
the
no.
comments that
No,
no,
I'm too
I'm serious. I go to
yeah, I
the
don't have
course.
enough money to pay people to say that.
There's always people in your comments that are like, Mark must be paying these people.
Yep.
Honestly, he's not.
Yeah.
But the course was, I can't even explain it, literally step by step guide on exactly what to do. Any questions that we had, we could ask and Mark would answer them. Like I had a question in regards to my knock code. Mark had a whole list of the knock codes and examples of how to explain your duties and the requirements that they would look for. That was really helpful for me. What else was helpful? The Another thing that was really helpful was explaining our common law relationship. So there are certain things that you have to provide proof on, such as bank accounts together or photos, letters of support. All of those were detailed in the course. Without the course, I would not have known that I needed that information. I don't think there's any site that specifically tells you what you have to submit. So that was really helpful. And just the overall process was easy and seamless because of Mark's course. He even detailed how to label things so that it's easier for the officers to recognize. They don't have to go through and look through every section trying to find what this document is for or what this photo is related to. You have it labeled so it's easy for them to access. And I feel like it just made the process a lot better, because if we did it on our own, like I said, we've never applied for permanent residence before. We've already dealt with rejection after rejection.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure we got it right.
That's wonderful. Well, the listener should also know that within the courses, I always have a little kind of a gift for the top contributors, the people that are the most helpful to one another, because really you become almost kind of like a little family when we do these master classes. And there's always people that are just so engaged and are sharing and giving and helping. And so Simone was one of the, I think we had 3 or 4 winners for individuals. They got a little Amazon gift card just for being awesome. And so when I heard that Simone had obtained her permanent residence, and that for her spouse, boy, it was wonderful news. I love to hear that, especially
For sure.
because there is so much negativity, right? There's
Yep.
so much heartache, and there's so much frustration and even anger with people, and
For
to
sure.
see things work out positively. And one thing I'll bring up to Simone is I'm now getting a lot of calls, a lot of consults, and for people that are receiving procedural fairness letters because they made mistakes on their TR to PR. And it was a perfect a perfect storm, really, because with the race that everybody had to go through to file, things were inevitably missed. And
And
one
the
of the big
fact that it came
issues,
out the day before, the guide came out the day
yeah,
before, insane.
yeah, yeah, just really cruel. But there, I've had, yeah, I just received wonderful news from a client who had not disclosed their prior visa refusal, And I was really doubting whether or not we were going to be successful. They received first they received a request to provide the background declaration a second time. And that's usually code for, we think there's something you're not telling us, and we want to see if you won't tell us twice. And then we're going to send you the procedural fairness letter and alleged misrepresentation. And so that's what we were dealing with. Well, fortunately for him, we responded, we dealt with it in very strategic ways, and we gave the officer every opportunity in the world to accept his explanation. And now he's a permanent resident. Well, right after this, I've got a half an hour break, and then I'm going to be helping another client with that same situation. And so the TR to PR pathway has been a blessing and a curse for so many people. Sure. And I'm so grateful that for you and your spouse, that you guys finally, after this horrible journey that you've been through, and I know you're understating how stressful and how awful it was, but I'm just so grateful. So what are you going to do now? What is your plan?
Well, I want to go back and get my master's degree. I haven't decided exactly what I want to do it in yet, but because I have my permanent residence, I don't pay international fees.
Absolutely.
So that's my plan. My partner can now work. So he has a degree in finance. He's going to go into banking. So it really was a blessing. And like I said, it came at the best time. It's probably the best birthday gift, and I'll remember that birthday for all my life.
Wow, that is so wonderful.
Yeah,
it's just been so challenging for so many people, and just wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Simone. I really appreciate it. We've got some other alumni of my other courses, my Express Entry, that have always kept coming back and saying hello. The Sir is one of them, and I hope, Simone, you'll pop on from time to time as well and just say hello. So lots of congratulations from people that are listening, and we really appreciate you taking time to join. And I've got another, that actual approval that we had just recently for that procedural fairness letter. He's going to join me next week. So it's great to have you. All right.
Awesome.
We'll let you go, Simone. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Okay.
No
take
problem.
Care.
You too.
All right. Well, that was absolutely wonderful to have Simone join me. And it has been, excuse me, like I said, it has been a really super frustrating day for me getting that application returned. Now, the client had filed it on their own, but they alleged that the actual use of rep was improperly completed, which is ridiculous because we were not being appointed. And anyway, so there we go. So we've got a few more little thanks, as Simone has disconnected now, but it's great to see you guys, giving a shout out to her. Thank you so much. I know that she appreciates all the well wishes, and it's just, there's so much, like I said, to complain about, that it just becomes almost a pattern. And so I love to be able to bring up the positives that are happening. All right. So what I want to talk about today, and I make sure my mic isn't too loud for you guys. Thanks to those who identified that the mic was muted. Whew, it's just one of those days. But so for those that are actually connecting in, that have questions, we'll definitely dive into those. And I know we've got a bunch of people. I've had a little bit of problem with my connection, my setup right now. And so I'm just not sure how it will work here. So you can see I've got a bunch of problems here with this. Let's see if I go back here. I've been trying to get my, well, that's not going to work. So let's just go here and so that I can share my screen with you guys. And so I think this should work if I do it this way. And then I'm just going to add and this is right on the fly. Boy, it sure is fun trying to do these things right on the fly. That is not the one I want, I don't think. Let's see here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to adjust. Let's see here. Custom. There we go. Okay, I'm going to adjust this. I apologize, guys. This has been one of those days. Like I said, everything was all set up, and then my software that I use to do these videos, I ran into some problems with it and had to reinstall it. And then all of my overlays fell apart. And then I was going live, and I recorded a video with Alicia this morning on Express Entry. And wow, it's been crazy. I think I need to take a little bit of time off and just recover. So, all right. Anyways, so a couple things, what Simone was talking about. I think it's no longer accessible because the TR to PR pathways come to an end. However, with the courses, you guys, you will see that the next Express Entry one is December the 6th. And so you can go in right now and you can access the course and log in, be joined into the Facebook group. So that's available for you right now. But the question is, what's happening with this, right? What is happening with Express Entry? So if we scroll down here, we can see that the last draw was October the 27th. It's the 10th today. There's a good chance we're going to have another provincial nominee draw. Very, very good chance that we will. But the question is, are they going to this year go back and are they going to do another Canadian Experience class? Because the last one was September the 14th. And that is what everybody is waiting on, because over this last couple months, it has just been provincial nominee and that's it. And I think many of you are probably very well aware of what that means and the stakes for you as age increases, as as you basically are seeing your CRS points affected by this. It's a reality, and to a large extent, there's not much that you can do to deal with this. It's just a waiting game and a hoping game, anticipating and just doing everything you can to be prepared for the day when they do another round of invitations. But I think what's happening as we go through this, I'm actually just going to stick this logo. See if I can control this one there. I'm just going to stick this logo up here. What we're seeing right now is that immigration is starting to move the outland applications, which I think for most people who have been sitting for not 1 year, but 2 years or even more, it only makes sense that they will prioritize the overseas network. And so I'm starting to get lots of consultations from people who are receiving their passport requests, or they're receiving other instructions from immigration and are not quite sure what to do, especially when their lives have changed, when they maybe moved to another country. They've started school because they never thought that immigration was actually going to work out. Lots of people have been asking, what are they going to do? Is immigration just going to cancel all of the queue of applications and then just require people to start over from scratch? I've never thought that. Some of my colleagues across the country were concerned that they would do that. There was lots of fear mongering, but we are seeing now that the overseas, even the old ones, are starting to move forward. So that's a positive. And if you do have any questions, remember that you guys are always able to go right back to, let me see if this is it here, to go to our site, and you can easily just book a consult with one of the lawyers in our firm, and we can give you any direction or guidance that you need with that final landing process, just because of the sheer volatility of it. This is your last shot. And in some cases, you've uploaded things and immigration is very slow to respond. That's what we're seeing right now. So we'll keep all those things in context. And it's a crazy world, you guys. It is so crazy. All right, so let's go back and let's, you can now start posting questions. Remember to post a Q in front of it, and then I'll know that it's a question versus just people talking back and forth. Okay, so Kanav says, got AOR in TR to PR, CPC Sydney Medical's no bio taken from CEC file, PCC requested and sent over, what to expect next CEC or TR to PR, which is faster. So this is the thing that has been really uncertain. So it's hard to know. I personally believe that CEC and the world of Express Entry is always going to be faster for people who submitted their TR to PR pathways in the second wave. In other words, the first wave was that massive crush on day one with all the international grads and a few essential workers. But then after that, that second wave, they are all being held in abeyance. For example, I have a client and we submitted ours within the first 8 minutes. It took us a little bit longer. How ironically, 8 minutes. It took us longer for the simple reason that he had 4 children, a spouse, and a whole bunch of things we had to update, but he is still waiting. Patient, anxious, but he's still waiting. So even those who submitted very, very early on, it depends on, and he's from Mexico, so it depends upon the country that you're from. Those types of things also play a role with background screening and things like that. So ultimately, when it comes to anyone that is wondering, should I do express entry? You know, I've got a TR to PR in the background. What should I do? I routinely tell them to do both. And ultimately, yes, the processing fees, you may lose processing fees for one of them if ultimately you're going to be withdrawing one. But I don't take any chances, especially after seeing what they've done. It's ridiculous what this returned application. I'm so frustrated because it should never have happened. And it's just immigration being jerks. And so, yeah, anyways, I'll stop venting about that. But in your case, Kanav, I would continue to just proceed forward with both until immigration makes you choose. All right. Okay, let's see. We've got some other questions here, so let's jump down to those. Let's see. Shelly says, oh, Shelly, hello. Shelly is, I think Shelly, I think you're an immigration consultant. I think you are. I can't remember if you, I know Shelly was another one of my alumnus. Always popping in to say hello and thank you for great job you're doing and making a difference in so many lives. Thank you, Shelly. I appreciate that. I can't remember, Shelly. I think you're an immigration consultant. I get lots of consultants. I get lawyers who take the course, my express entry course, and the quality of people that are coming in is just amazing, and it just makes the course that much better because I get wonderful questions that help everyone. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so. Okay, there's a question. So GGJ Canada, as a housekeeper, knock 4412, is it required to present a medical exam to apply for the TR to PR in case the healthcare workers is extended? Okay, well, I always will make sure that I have the medical. Do you need it? Well, immigration has said that in the beginning, it's actually not a mandatory requirement. Well, here's how I approach it, okay? Express entry, they say you don't necessarily need to go forward and do it. I tell my clients to do it anyways. I just don't want any delays. The reason that they're telling people not to rush off and get them is because they don't know how long this is going to take to process applications, and to have someone do a medical and then have it expire and then have to redo it is a waste. So for many of the instructions for express entry now, they're telling people that you don't necessarily have to do it. But personally, I think the hump is being hit. I should say the low watermark. Maybe I'll do this when the low watermark has been hit. And now they're starting to climb up in their with respect to the speed of processing. But I always tell my clients to make sure that they have a valid medical. It just makes things go faster so they don't have to request it after. And if you've never done one, then absolutely you're going to need to do one. So I advise my clients to do it. So are they going to open it up for any of the TR to PR categories? The one that I could see is healthcare. And we haven't seen anything yet, right? So if we go back here, let's flip back. Let's see, is it this one? Did I get this one? Yeah, okay. So let's go here and let's just pull in TR to PR pathway and let's see what it says here. So you guys will know that it's come to an end, right? So if you scroll down here, it says the temporary resident to permanent resident pathway closed on November the 5th. You can no longer submit an application. If you've already submitted an application, you can still sign in to view your submission. So they hit 7,155. So there is room within the healthcare for them to do more, to bring more people in. But as of now, they haven't opened it up. So it's closed. They haven't extended it. And if you scroll down here, you can see here, these are unlimited, but still there were very marginal numbers for the French-speaking categories. And what everybody needs to understand is that there was about 47,000 plus. There were an additional 7,000 that slipped through because the counter system for immigration was just, well, it had a glitch. So if people clicked the same time, they were just counted as one within the counter. So there are actually more than 40,000 international grads that were allowed into the queue. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Let's get to some other questions. Okay, I get this one a lot, Catherine. She says, can I apply for a study permit while having a profile open in Express Entry? Well, the reality is there's nothing stopping you from doing it. you have an obligation to demonstrate temporary intent, and this is something that immigration's really been grappling with. Can they refuse your study permit for the sole and only purpose that because you had a profile? No, they can't. That would be a reviewable error, because within the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, there's the concept of dual intent. The intention to abide by any temporary conditions imposed on you, i.e. applying for a temporary study permit with the condition that when it expires, you will return home or transition to another temporary application like a post-grad work permit, compared with, I do, yes, want to be a permanent resident one day. So that concept does allow for immigration to, basically to allow someone to have a profile in and still approve their study permit. But Catherine, it depends on the country. It depends on a lot of factors. But can they refuse purely and only on the grounds that you have a profile? No, that would be a reviewable error. Okay, let's keep zipping through here. Okay, so Sam says, my postgrad's expiring in 6 months. I'm an express entry for CEC with a score of 478. Now, he hasn't yet received an ITA because they haven't done one. So in case of not being drawn, can I extend my postgrad? Can I do it with a letter from my employer? No. If you are looking to extend, you have to have met those requirements for that one-time postgrad extension of 18 months, which is passed. And you also have to have had, or alternatively, you would have had to transition to a bridging open work permit. And they have made some changes so that you can restore, but you need that ITA. You need to have actually filed your EAPR. So an LMIA may be the only route, but Sam, I recommend that as I ring my little bell here, it probably makes sense for you to slide over and just go over to our site and book a consult. And there should be a link in the description below. Then we can chat and talk about whatever, the options that might be available for you, because with 6 months remaining, yeah, time is ticking and it can be very, very uncertain. Okay, let's keep zipping through here. And oh man, today's one of those days I'm not feeling very well. I'm actually feeling pretty sick here, but I'm gonna tough it out and get through this. It's because you guys have been very patient with me not being able to do a live Q&A last Wednesday. Now tomorrow, Thursdays, usually we do, Alicia and I do a second Q&A. And eventually Alicia will just take that over and she'll roll with it, that Q&A as well on Thursdays. But because tomorrow is Remembrance Day in Canada, and I will probably do a special Remembrance Day video tomorrow morning. For those of you who are not aware of it, make sure you tune in, and I'll put up a little notification, and we'll schedule that so that you guys can come and watch it. But it'll be a special Remembrance Day episode, just because it's one of the most important days that is just never to be forgotten in our country. And tomorrow the office is closed. And then because my son is heading for Chile next week, my family, we're going to just go away up into the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, for a few days to just spend the last few days with him before he's gone for 2 years. And many of you know what it's like to be separated from family for that long. So I think you can appreciate that. Okay. Memo says, great job, Mark and team. Keep up. We appreciate all the work you are putting in. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. So, so Feed Yoga says, and I'm just going to bump this up just a little bit, so we've got a little bit more room here. There. Okay. Can someone claim points for a job offer if he already has 1 full year of experience for the same employer in the current work permit, but the experience was in a different position? Both are same knock. So when it comes to job offers, remember, Feed, that it has to be an LMIA based, so an employer specific job offer, or under the International Mobility Program, which is also still employer specific with 1 year of experience. So if you are asking, does that job offer or those points all have to be if they're in, I think, let me say employer, current work permit, the experience with different positions. When you say that you had different positions and you're on the same work permit, that usually tells me that it's probably a postgrad or an open work permit. And when it comes to offers of employment in the context of express entry, it doesn't work. Let's just take a quick look at this. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to share my screen with you guys again, and we're going to dive in here. Let me enlarge this a little bit so that you guys can see it a little bit better. We're going to go to the offer of employment here, and I just want to show you something here. So as far as the requirements, yes, blah, 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 you need to have all of this stuff, but really what it comes down to is this right here. So you can see for skilled workers, Canadian experience class, one employer, continuous, paid, full-time. This is the offer itself, not seasonal, for at least 1 year after you get your permanent resident visa, and skilled. So right now, that's what a job offer, with the letter from the employer that you're including with your application, needs to state. But if you scroll down here, you'll see that it also must be one of these. So it needs to be what we call a permanent labor market impact assessment. And actually, I'll just flip over here and I'll show you guys. When you click on see courses, one of the more popular courses that I have right now is the LMIA course for high wage positions. So if you're wondering what this means and how this works, this LMIA course, although it's geared towards employers, also helps people to understand what this whole positive LMIA is all about. So this one is an LMIA obtained by an employer to support your specific permanent resident application, but it is all in the same NOC, and it has it's basically identifies the NOC, your position, everything like that. And the expectation is that they'll hire you after you become a permanent resident. So it doesn't support a work permit. So we call that the permanent LMIA. And this is all explained in my course, the Express Entry step-by-step course and masterclass. So if you're currently working in Canada, and this might be what you're talking about, you can see on a 0A or B job on a work permit that was issued based on an LMIA. So once again, it's an LMIA work permit. You're working for an employer on the work permit. You're authorized to work in Canada on the day you apply and when the visa was issued. So you need to have that same work authorization, and your current employer made you an offer full-time for at least 1 year. Or finally, if it's not an LMIA, it's something under the International Mobility Program, one of those work permits, but still currently working for the employer specified on the work permit. That's the key. And then have 1 year of full-time work experience or an equal amount of part-time work for that employer, and a valid job offer for that employer for at least 1 year. So basically what that is saying is that you have to have Feed Yoga, an employer-specific work permit. And if you don't, then the postgrad will never work, even though your employer says, I want to offer you a job or support your PR. It doesn't meet those unique parameters. Okay, let's scroll down here to a couple more of the super chatters. Okay, so Manpreet says, I've got 2 years, 11 months, and 27 days of foreign work experience. Would I fall under category 3 or more year experience for CRS calculation of EE? So 2 years, 11 months, and 27 days of foreign work experience. Manpreet, this is 100% something you need to book a consult with us. Those 3 days potentially that you're short, if you do not have the full 3 years, then it is entirely possible that they are not going to grant it. But there are some circumstances where maybe arguments can be made. And understand, you never want to misrepresent anything. You never want to provide some type of a letter that is alleging something happened that didn't happen. But I recommend that you consider booking a consultation and letting us go through that in detail. But the expectation is 1,560 hours per year. But foreign work experience to hit the 3 years, it is literally 3 years. So that's at least a minimum of 30. And you can't work 45 hours per week and meet that 1,560 times 3, one for each year. You can't do that faster. So after you hit 30 hours, they don't count hours above that. And it may be that in your situation, you with the 11 months and 27 days that you actually do meet the 1,560 times 3, but immigration requires that it be for a full 3 years, or the equivalent in part-time, right? So yeah, so that's what I recommend, Manpreet. Okay, let's see who else. George, thanks, my friend. George is awesome. George is also an alumni. He's a graduate of the Canadian Immigration Institute. So good to see you, my friend. Okay. George says, is it a good idea to email the portal email before they email the credentials? Some people took the initiative to email first and got their credentials after a few days. Can it hurt, Mark? It never will hurt. It never does. Anything that you do to try to preempt or to give immigration what they want before they even need to ask for it, it's never gonna hurt. Short and simple answer, George. Okay, let's just jump down here and we'll hit one more and then we'll jump back. Okay, this one is, Kaushik says, can we convert visitor visa to work permit irrespective of past occupation for a 54-year person? Okay, I see this happen all the time. I had a consult just earlier this week with someone who came over as a visitor and then wanted to transition to a work permit. So can you do it? Yes, you can, but understand the first work permit still needs to be applied for and obtained outside of Canada. So if it's approved and you then, then you still have to depart Canada and come back in. Some people do flagpoles. I really don't like flagpoles. And I worked on the border as an officer because it's so volatile. Those officers will look at absolutely everything to try to find a way to bounce you. And there's nothing worse than them going on your phone and saying, oh, wait a minute, I see that you started work early or did some training for that employer. So I think you've worked without authorization. I'm going to issue you a 6-month bar from obtaining a work permit. And I'm going to give you basically a removal order, or I'm going to allow you to leave and depart, pack up your things and head home. So I hate doing flagpoles, but that's often what happens when you're transitioning from a visitor to a worker. And once again, Kaushik, I recommend that you book a consult so that we can talk about that in more detail. Okay, predictions. Oh boy, that FSW, I think in the spring. That's where I'm at. I think they're going to try to clear this massive backlog, which is massive, and then they're going to start opening it up to new people. That's what I think. Jat says, next step after PNP approval, show link, please. Okay, I just submitted an application with a client just yesterday through the PR portal. So if you have PNP approval, it depends on whether it's express entry or whether it's through one of the old paper-based options. And the instructions should be on that PNP approval, Jat, but it's pretty simple. When it comes to let's just flip over here and take a look at, we'll just pull it up. So it's the PR portal. That's what they call it now, Permanent Residence Portal. And this is where you go to log in. And this is where you choose the PNP program and submit it through here if it's not an express entry. And if it is an express entry, well, then it's pretty simple. Then what you're going to do is you're going to modify your profile to indicate that now you have been nominated and follow through. That's essentially how it works. Okay. All right. Random Girl says, forgot to upload my transcript and study permit in the TR to PR International grad stream. Will I get rejected? Oh boy, this is tough. There are certain things that they are looking for, certain things that they require. Because they don't make it easy to upload a file after you've already submitted it, I highly recommend that you book a consult, because this could absolutely be an issue for you. It depends on what other information that you included with it. The TR to PR pathway has been kinder than, say, the traditional express entry route. But when it comes to uploading your transcript, did you upload a copy of your diploma or degree? That may be able to save you. When it comes to the study permit, was that to prove that the date that you entered Canada? Was it used for that purpose, your study permit? Because the study permit itself isn't always a mandatory requirement when you're proving education. What's important is the diploma, degree, and transcript. So there's a number of different things here that could apply. It's possible that it could get rejected. Yes, it is. But invariably, I've seen IRCC come back and ask for updated information or for you to provide documentation that was possibly missing. I've seen a much greater willingness of those officers because of the lack of Regulation 10, this cruel, heartless nature that express entry is being administered under. Okay. But that's a good question. That's a good question. Okay. Chaitanya says, thanks for everything, Mark. I got my CC application approved last night. Oh, big shout out. Really appreciate your help through the process. 67 days for approval. Congratulations. That is so awesome, Chaitanya. Yeah, that is awesome. Good for you, my friend. Oh boy, I am so happy for you. Okay, all right, let's jump back up now, and I'm gonna slide back up to some of the other questions that I slipped by. Understand that it's not going to be possible for me to get through every question, and I know some of you are usually saying, "Hey, Mark, why didn't you answer my question?" Well, it's physically impossible for me to get through all of them, so I do the best I can to choose ones that are going to be the most benefit to everybody watching these live Q&As. Okay, let's see what we've got going here. Next one. Okay, so Sajad says, it's been 6 months after submitting the EAPR and no news. What should I do? You wait, my friend. You wait, because 6 months is nothing these days. And I think all of you are very familiar with, if I go back here once again and we pull up IRCC processing times, well, let me spell this right. CC processing times. When we pull this up and then you look for whatever it is, you can see right at the beginning, it says, due to the impacts of COVID, we can't process applications normally, nor give accurate processing times for most applications. And so even when you go to Express Entry, so if we go to Economic Immigration and we go to, let's see, we'll go to the Canadian Experience class, if that's it. Have you already applied? I already applied. And then get processing times. You can see, even though it says 6 months here, the reality is that's not always accurate because of this overarching statement right here. So please, whatever you do, don't expect that your application is going to be processed super fast. And Sajad, the reality is 6 months. Other people, yes, have gotten their applications approved quick. Others, it's been longer, and there's a number of different factors, but you're still well within the kind of the parameters of normal processing. Okay, let's see here. Mandate letters. Good question. I haven't heard a bloody thing about those mandate letters. I was expecting that we would see them. So let's go over here. We'll go mandate letters 2021. How can you tell I've searched for this 5,000 times? Oh, let's see here. Do we have them up here? New or forthcoming? No. Seriously. Come on, Prime Minister. Let's get this going. They haven't even updated the page, so you can't even see exactly when it was. So no mandate letters yet. That's a good question, though. We're anxiously waiting to see what's going to happen. All right. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, and lots of people are asking the same question. No, people, I do not believe that applications are going to be canceled. I just don't. So the December 23rds, nope, I do not believe applications are going to be canceled. I don't. Okay, Thesura says, what can we do if our name is too long to enter in the 5645 family info form? Can we write it with our initials? And do we need to write our name in our native language as well? Thanks so much, Thesura. Because of a recent federal court decision that I reviewed where the officer or the justice had intimated that a person could include a separate sheet if there wasn't room in the forms, which is every single form it seems like we're submitting these days. You'll remember that I can't remember if you subscribe to the TR to PR Pathway program, but I have a template that I use when I'm filling in information in the forms. And when it comes to the family info form, yeah, there's not a lot of room for it. So I'll always include an additional sheet that has the full names when it doesn't fit on the form. It seems ridiculous that you'd be punished for doing it, but no, I wouldn't put abbreviation. I would include a separate sheet that basically mimics what's on the form that then has the full names on it. And I would indicate on the form, please note, or please see attached sheet, so that they could see exactly what the full names are. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, Raj says, I stayed in the US as an exchange student back in 2014 for 4 months. Should I mention that in address history and personal history, or only in travel history of EAPR? I'm really confused. Please help. When it's a stay for that and you're actually a student or you're working, I always put that as address. So I list it as address. I don't put it as a travel history, and I include it in personal history as study, provided it fits within that range of 10 years or, since you turned the age of 18. Okay, let's see here. Fate, is it normal to not get an AOR or able to link application, although I applied in the first hour, essential non-health care? This is something that I can't answer. What is normal? You know, I'm assuming you submitted everything properly and it's in the queue. You know, is it normal? You guys have looked, there's websites that are tracking all of this information, kind of a crowdsourced kind of collection of data to try to figure out where processing is really at based on anecdotal reports. But I can tell you, Fate, that that's something that I can't answer. You know, essential non-healthcare, regardless of whether you're an international grad or the essential worker program, they don't really distinguish it. All they're looking at is you know, when it's on an officer's desk. So I can't answer that. I would hope that, you know, you're going to be able to see something happening soon. As you can see, this individual, Simone, that we just had on, she had her application submitted in that first hour, and maybe you had submitted it just a little bit before her, but I would expect that you should start to see something shortly. Okay. CEC, it's still possible we could see something November, December. I guess we'll see today. I don't think there's been any updates. If I go back here to, it seems like they now do the rounds of invitations after I get off these live streams. Before, there was times when it happened right when we were doing our lives, but you can see there's been no update, nothing yet. All right, next, let's go to another question. We've got about 7 minutes left here. Let's see. Okay, Trevton says, can I travel the States with an expired Canadian visa and a current Canadian work permit? Trevton, I'm going to hit this one right here because right now there are a number of factors at play here, and I can't just answer yes or no. There's a concurrent country provision that allows people with single entry visas that have expired to travel by land to the US and return in that with that provision, but I don't ever want to give that advice out without booking a consult, my friend. Okay. Okay, Raj says, hey, I've got money in a proof of funds in my bank account. I also have investments in the stock market. If I don't show my stock investment and only give details of bank savings account, will it be a problem? Well, they tell you to give your full financial picture. So yes, I always see that as a problem if anyone is concealing or not disclosing everything that they have. And yes, you may not be able to get a letter, Raj, from the stock investment institution, but you can probably get a report or something else in lieu of it just to let immigration know that, hey, you have other funds in investment, but you're not using them for settlement. And I always disclose it. Okay. Okay, Sahil, this is also, I click on this and then I push you right over here to book a consultation with our firm, and the link is below, because the question you're asking does not give me near enough information to know how to answer it. Food and beverage management, directly got a job as an assistant restaurant manager in a burger chain. Am I eligible to work? Well, the reality is, do you have a work permit? Do you have a post-grad? If you're wondering if the employment requirements are such that if you don't have the employment requirements, that's a whole different discussion. So I recommend, Sahil, that you book a consult so we can sort through that. Yeah, Aban, I have no clue. It depends on the country. You can go, when it comes to processing times, how many days will my minor student visa come? So the processing of that study permit really depends on the country, depends on the location. And when you go, if we go back here to the website and then we go here to the, let's see here, if we've got a whole bunch of processing times here, you can see that the processing times are always based on location. So if you go temporary residence and you say I am, it's a study permit from outside Canada, and processing times, you can see here, 15 weeks is what they've got here. All right. Simple as that. So you can take a look for yourself and make that determination. Okay, a couple more questions before I wrap this up. I'm really trying to hold on here. I am not feeling very good. Okay. Okay, Latoya, when you've got a child and you're updating, it's around 6 months. And I'll be honest, that's what I was seeing before the pandemic, and it's often that's what I'm seeing right now when you're adding a newborn baby after after the initial COPR is issued. Now remember, Latoya, you are absolutely not going to land without having that child medically examined and fully disclosed to IRCC. So you're going to have to send back the COPR, or and they're going to reissue a new one for you, but you do not under any circumstance want to land without having that child included in your PR. Okay, let's see here. Parisa, when it comes to AOR, FSW, September 2020, inside Canada as a visitor, there is nothing that you can do to accelerate it. Immigration does not have any priority processing for if you pay more, like the US. There is very little that you can do other than following up with them to let them know that you're now in Canada and you're fully able and ready to land if they would move forward. Okay. And questions like this one, really a little bit too vague for me to answer. So understand when it comes to the PNP programs, they're all a little bit different, and it's hard to get that response. Okay. Aziz, what do you got here, my friend? I got the authorization letter from Edmonton Case Processing Center saying that I can work with new employer, but I have to attach my current work permit with that letter. How long for final approval? Aziz, send me a message, my friend. Aziz is a previous client, and we will address that. Okay, my friend, because I need to see exactly what you have in your possession. Did you get the work permit sent to you yet? Okay, Chris says, oh, what is it? I got my COPR this week in your videos. Oh, another celebration here. I got my COPR this week and your videos played a huge role in getting it. I still have another application that I haven't withdrawn and they didn't make me choose. What should I do? Well, if you've completed your landing and you've actually, you're a permanent resident, then request to have it withdrawn. That's what you do. And just do it via web form. Okay. Hard to say, Zakaria, if the OINP will invite accountants and auditors. It's really, really hard to say. Knock 1111 in the near future. Yeah, I really, really couldn't say. Okay, moving through. Lots of people are asking multiple questions. Hello, Malind, about, what's the status of FSW Outland. Farah, I can tell you that they are starting to do that and they are starting to move forward. So, yeah. They are moving forward. I've had consults with it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here's another one. Marcel, I'm also going to ring the bell and tell you to book a consult because there's a lot at play here. Fully vaccinated, valid ETA, expired COPR. That expired COPR can sometimes be an issue if when they're going through the immigration system. So I recommend that you book a consult so that we can look at that, Marcel, and then I'll be able to be in a much better position to give you advice you can actually rely on. The last thing in the world I would want is to give you legal advice with that very limited information, and then you book a flight, travel, and then a border officer bounces you back and rejects it. Okay, let's see here. We'll finish up here, I think, with the last. Yeah, let's wrap this up here, I think. Okay, is there anything else here? Yes, Latoya, I know lots of people have been waiting for a very, very long time. Okay, and yes, they are starting to process. So hang in there, hang in there. If you guys remember, I will just wrap up with this last little thing here on the YouTube channel. And actually, maybe I will just turn this on. There we go. So there's our little wrap up music. So you'll remember, and I'm just going to go back to my main screen here, and then I'm going to pull it up. Lots of people, it was probably about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I think. I'll just go into my my channel here, you'll remember that I did do, let's flip it over here now. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll remember that I did a video on, let's see if I can find it. Breaking news. Yeah, this one right here. So this one is about the FSW Outland passport requests that are starting to come in. So they are absolutely starting to do this, you guys. And it's just watch, be patient. I don't believe that they're going to just start canceling things. So hang in there. And I know you hear a lot of that. I know you guys really do. All right, thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you, Simone, for coming to share your positive story. It's been another great Immigration Live Q&A. There will not be one tomorrow with Alicia because of Remembrance Day, but watch, because I am going to do a special one in the morning, all on Remembrance Day, and just, yeah, celebrating something that is a really, really important, it's a very, very important day in our country's history. And I love my country. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, right here on the Canadian Immigration Institute. Okay, guys, take care, and we will see you all later. Take care.